Welcome to the Walking Dead podcast. Here we share stories from veterans and family members of the 1st Battalion 9th Marines, offering a captivating glimpse into their experiences. As we explore their powerful testimonies, we address the challenges veterans face today, sparking meaningful conversations for anyone connected to military life. Join us on this journey of resilience and connection.
I'm here with my good friend for, 55 years?
Yep.
I think we've known each other that long. Rod Fink, who was a corpsman in Vietnam. In our relationship, to set the record, we became known because I was a grunt up at Con Thien, and I was a squad leader, and we had all new guys. So I took them in a bunker, and I asked the chaplain to tell me, hey, tell me something I can tell my guys so that they can receive the Lord as their Savior so their souls aren't on me. So he said, okay, you start coming around. So Chaplain Jones at that time. And once I figured it out, I went into the bunker. I had 12 guys, and half of them were new, or most of them. And I said, y'all take your helmets off, put your rifles down, y'all going to get saved right now. So I led them in a prayer of salvation, and I said, okay, now you're good to go. And the chaplain told Al Slater 6 months in the field. And that's it for officers. He got replaced by John Ryan, Captain John Ryan.
Right.
And he was a really good leader. He came and I was a senior squad leader, and he came and said, tell me what I should know, and introduced me to the men. And then I didn't know it, but the chaplain told him, I'd like Ray to be my assistant, which is bodyguard, his driver, and And he came to me and said, Ray, the chaplain, I said, don't do it, because you need seasoned guys, and I just happen to be alive longer than most of them. And he said, no, it's not going to be right away. But so one day he came to me, and he said, you're out. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you are now the chaplain. You've had enough. And I was so stinking mad at him. And I left, and Chaplain Hano now took Jones's place as chaplain.
Yeah.
He kept me on. But now I had to hang out with the Navy.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, he was Navy. And, now I'm hanging out with you guys. And that's how I ended up in the bunker, the battalion aid station, when we met.
Okay, well, I guess the thing we got really thrown together was the bunker took a direct hit, and I don't know, what was it, a recoilless rifle, or what hit it?
I think it was a rocket.
A rocket. Anyway, I was pretty new in country. I had my first incoming. I had been at Dong Ha, and they started mortaring the area in the rear. And I went running for the battalion aid station. Well, you're not supposed to run during incoming. You're supposed to hit the deck, right?
No, I ran.
Well, you can run if you find a good spot short way away from you, but you don't want to be running because you're upright and shrapnel will hit you.
Right.
Well, the other corpsman that was running got killed, so I had a 50-50 chance of getting killed that first week that I was in country. So now I replaced him and got sent up on trucks up to the DMZ, and the command bunker up there, or the BAS, like you said, got that hit with a rocket. I went running up and started working on the first guy that was sitting there looking at me. I put a battle dressing on his arm, and I looked at the back of his head, and he was already dead, but he was just sitting there looking at me. And I went around, got inside the bunker, and you were in there working on Captain Ryan. I started working on Smith, the corpsman. He was a senior corpsman, and he was hit pretty bad in the face, and I gave him morphine, and there wasn't much more I could do. We handed him out to be taken for more treatment. And then Captain Ryan, you were working on him, and you said we both worked on him for a bit. And what was your...
Well, what happened was Captain Ryan, who actually saved my life, but he got me out of the field. He came in and had a small wound from something.
Okay.
And as he left, he was going up to the command bunker, and we got, the worst thing was airburst.
Yeah.
And they started hitting us with airburst, and that's like 1,000 shotguns blowing up, and there's no defense. And he got hit, airburst, and they brought him back in, and I just happened to be there. We stripped him down, and he was sprayed from head to toe. And I remember they took his watch off, and it started pulsating. So we stopped that. I took off his right shoe and his sock and tried, and he was just sprayed. And they medevaced him,
Yeah.
but he was on the ship. And the thing is, if you could get a guy out of the field into a mass unit or on the ship, he had like a 95% chance of making it.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, he died 8 days later.
Yeah, he ended up.
And
I was getting ready to go out to see him.
oh, really?
And then Hano, now I'm the assistant for Hano, and I said, I'm going. And he said, well, I just heard that 8 days later that he had died.
Well, what happened, Smitty died, senior corpsman that I first worked on, he died 8 hours later. And so I'm now from 1st Platoon. I was a 1st Platoon corpsman. I have a picture that this was actually, this was in the Stars and Stripes, and this is me on the left with the helmet, and you'll notice not a lot of the guys had helmets on. Some didn't even have flak jackets, but one of the jobs of the corpsman was to tell them, get your helmet on, get your flak jacket on. I was still pretty new. But anyway, this reporter was standing there while we were taking shelling. You can see that we're ducking down. And I looked up and I thought, what an idiot. We're all trying to hit lower ground. And the reporter, probably from Life magazine, because...
No, he was from CBS News. Mike Wallace did, it's called Siege at Con Thien. It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And that was in October. I sent a letter home, and I found it. And it said, oh, in October, we got hit with 1,000 rounds in one day.
Yeah.
Because we'd get 400 or 500 a day because they were trying to take Con Thien.
Yeah.
And Mike Wallace, I watched this about a month ago, and he said, yeah, Siege at Con Thien, they, in October of 67, 1,200 rounds in one day.
That was a real exciting day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was,
Well,
it was raining.
The story is that we averaged 200 to 300 rounds a day. But one day it might be quiet, the next day you got 1,000 rounds, so it averaged out. But we were there 47 days on that particular tour. But anyway, I wrote to the Stars and Stripes, and they sent me the photo, and I expanded it basically, and I have it at home in my own man cave. But the big thing, I kept getting the feeling, because I first see that I'm replacing a 1st Platoon corpsman, so I'm now the 1st Platoon corpsman because the corpsman got killed. And then, lo and behold, the senior corpsman, Smith, gets killed, and I'm replacing another guy that's killed. And so I added 2 and 2 together, and I came up with, I'm going to be killed. So I kind of went to the darkest place for the whole year. I assumed I was going to die.
Yeah.
Because everybody was getting killed. We were in some pretty heavy battles. Then at Quezon, we were in battles for 77 days, and so I assumed I was going to die. And the last day after all my year in Vietnam, all the combat we saw, I'm sitting in the plane to go home, and it was at Da Nang, and I'm gripping the seat like this because I knew we were going to die now, because it had to be now, because
You're running out of time.
this is it. And we took off, and that gets to 10,000 feet, and they turned off the seatbelt light, and everybody let out a big whoop, and that was it. And I thought, I didn't die. What's up with that? You know?
What's up?
But anyway, it turns out that having a thought that you're going to die for a year doesn't just leave you. Later, I would look in a mirror. I'm back home. I'm safe now, but I see a zit or something, and I think, oh, I got a cancer. I'm going to die. So it was my first reaction. And it took a long time to get over that. And here I am. I turned 80 in February.
Did you?
Yeah, I
You're
made
older
it.
than me.
But I did have a bout where I almost got it with cancer from Agent Orange.
Oh, that's right.
So I had, about 20 years ago, I had gotten a cancer that was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the local doctor said it was viral bronchitis. So he never did an x-ray. He just gave me antibiotics, and I kept getting sicker and sicker. And finally, my friend said, go to the emergency room at the VA. And I went there, and they did x-rays and stuff, and I'm driving home. They called me up and said, Mr. Fink, you've got to get back here. We need to do more tests on you. And they said, we have you scheduled for a week and a half from now to do an MRI. And that was a Monday. By Friday, I couldn't even breathe. My friend said, just go to the emergency room. So I went down there, and they did some tests, and they said, oh, yeah, it's a good thing you came in. You had about a week to live. And
really?
yeah, and then I wound up, I had about 5 months of chemo at La Jolla VA, and then they flew Charlene and I up to Seattle for 3 months for a bone marrow transplant.
Wow, and that worked.
Yeah, I'm still here. It was a pretty brutal thing, and it seems like things were trying to kill me all along, but I'm still here, so.
The thing about these, how we got back together, it was the reunions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think my first reunion was in 04, and it was in Quantico.
Okay.
And Lieutenant Fagan was there. We went to 8th and I. But we got back together, and every reunion, I think we've been at every reunion together since
Yeah,
then.
we always get together and swap stories. But the first guy I met from Vietnam was in the 80s when they dedicated the Vietnam Memorial. And there was a guy, the book they have, it's got the 58,000 names. He was thumbing through this book, and there was a Marine, and he had a tattoo that said Quezon on his wrist, on his top of his hand. And I said, were you at Quezon? He says, yeah. I said, really, which battalion? He goes, 1-9. Really, which company? Alpha. Really, where was your bunker? Oh, well, there was the command bunker, and then about, 20 yards away, I had his bunker. So here I was right near the command bunker. In fact, I built the command bunker thinking that it was going to be the company aid station. So I built this beautiful bunker, and Captain Radcliffe came over and said, Doc, that's a great bunker. Thank you so much. And he took it over as a command bunker. So
Is that right?
But yeah,
Radcliffe did that?
Radcliffe so I built myself a duplex over here to the side, But basically, the whole chemotherapy thing, I'm in the process of writing a book about the kind of like, I'm calling it My Three Wars, or something like that. But it'll be about the PTSD and then the treatment from Agent Orange for the exposure to the Agent Orange.
Wow. Well, I think what saved me was that when you guys, because I was now out, I was a chaplain's assistant, and I was starting to get short time. And the guy that took Liaison Beasley was the colonel's driver, and he wanted my job so bad. So I told him how to butter up to Haino. And so he ended up getting my job.
Oh, okay.
But when they went up there, he got a direct hit on his bunker and it killed him.
Oh.
Yeah, so Beasley, yeah. But the guy that took my place for Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, a squad leader, he ended up getting killed on the hill fights. So actually that saved my life for me to get out. And it was Captain Ryan. And I named my second son Ryan after Captain Ryan. So.
Yeah, one thing that happened, the corpsmen a lot of times were the only chaplains there. Sometimes the corpsmen were older guys that had come in. Like myself, I was pre-med in college, and that's when I got my draft notice. So I was already older. I was like 20, a whole 22. And that was an old guy in the company because most of them were like 18 or something like that.
18, 19.
But a lot of times the corpsmen would work to help the guys. We would hold services for them. And then he was working with the chaplain, so I got a chance to hang out with him more. And sometimes we would, have services out in the bush, and you can't just have a service. It's kind of a low key thing.
Christian service.
Yeah, Christian service, absolutely. But I found that for some reason people are really open to the Lord when they're out in combat. For some reason,
there's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole.
In a foxhole, yeah.
That's true. It's great knowing you all these years, and
glad to be alive, right?
Here's to 1-9.
Thank you.
The Walking Dead.
Still walking.
Yeah.